relationships. We call this segment Relationships 101. We're going to be talking about all the different things that people have to encounter when they're dating or possibly with somebody for a long period of time. And things might not be going the way you want them to, or they may be going the way you want them to, and you're wondering when he or she may pop the big question. He is what we traditionally are used to.
Yes. Welcome to Conversations with Cathy and Erin. Relationships. I'm about to say vacations. I'm ready to go on one.
Yeah.
Relationships 101.
Healthy information.
What is the first thing we need to do with dating? Sometimes people are just not used to dating. Some people are not daters and they just don't want to do the interview, which dating is like an interview. You meet somebody, exchange numbers or whatever.
Right. You want to find out if you all have something in common, if where you from, hobbies, background, all the different things that come with learning to get to know someone.
So today we're here and we do have some people who have questions and they would like to ask some questions. They don't want to be on camera, which is fine. But throughout this segment we will try to answer some questions. Like we said before, we're not professionals. We don't know, the rights and the wrongs of dating. Not all of them. We do know some wrongs.
Yeah,
there are some wrongs.
And we know some rights. We all do have to show be polite and do the right things in different scenarios. However, we have some questions from different people today, so we want to get to those as well. And this is just the first segment. So if you want to know more, you can let us know what you might want us to talk about as far as relationships as we continue. But today we're going to start with a few questions from the people that took their time to come out with us.
Yes.
Okay. Sir?
How do you feel about a boyfriend that you've been going out with for 2 or 3 weeks as you go away on vacation?
Okay.
So the question was, how do you feel if you've been dating somebody for about 2 or 3 weeks and they ask you to go on vacation? To me, my opinion, I think it might be a little too soon, because most of the time when you go on vacation with someone, you should really get to know who they are, their likes and their dislikes. You may go away with somebody, get on a plane and fly across the country, and you may not like the way they snack on food. You might not like the way they snore, because if you're going away with somebody, you're going to have to stay in the room with them. You might not like the way she snores. Or it might be great.
And then
it might be great. It depends on the person, because some people meet and in a month they're like, okay, we went and got hitched. We went and got married. That might end up in divorce sometimes. Well, I don't know. But it depends on the person and how comfortable you are with one another.
And it's important for people. You're excited when you're dating someone, so you want to just kind of jump in sometimes. And although it may sound like a great idea to take a vacation after 2 or 3 weeks of seeing one another, my advice would be to take it slow, in the sense of you need to do a lot of day trips. There's nothing wrong with a day trip to a park or somewhere where you can have quiet time to really hear one another speak about different topics and just learn more about each other and growing in that way.
Yes. Becoming friends.
You have to have that friendship,
friends.
that communication, all those things that balance the relationship.
Exactly.
So
you can't rush anything. Everyone wants this microwavable lifestyle, rushing everything. When it comes to dating, you should take your time to get to know the person.
In the 2 and 3 week realm, day trips. I wouldn't recommend going anywhere too far with that person, because one of the things you also need to see with someone is how they are when they're upset or uncomfortable. And also, you might not know what their needs are as far as their health. And so if you go away with someone and they're allergic to bee stings, and that's something you didn't discuss, you are now somewhere maybe where you don't know where the nearest hospital is, or it's a foreign place, and you need to help that person. So it's always best, I think, to, within a 2 or 3 week time period, to keep the trips more day trips and localized as possible. Also, one thing I wanted to mention when dating is when you don't know someone that well, it's kind of nice, if it's a blind date, to meet somewhere and then have a group of your friends or one or two friends in the restaurant or the place where you may meet.
Yes.
So if things aren't going well, or your gut feeling is I don't feel so safe, that you have someone there with you that the other person doesn't know about, and then you're able to say, this has been nice, thank you for your time, but it's time for us to move on.
Yes, yes. And ladies or men, if you have children, and we know sometimes as single parents, it's hard to get out and date. So when you meet somebody, immediately you want to invite them in, because you can't always find a babysitter, or someone just to come over and watch the children. Don't do it. It's not a good idea to introduce your children to people. And nowadays people have this thing with, I'm not going to call him my boyfriend, I'm not going to call him my boo, this is uncle, or this is aunt. And you're not even related, because when you break up, you see them on the street, the kids like, hi, auntie.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're with somebody else that you might not know about,
so
and it's not a good scenario or
leave
situation.
your children out of the relationship until you know
for sure that it's going to the next level.
Yes, that it's going to the next level.
Agree.
Yes, don't do that. Don't mix the children in. And again, like you said, you don't know that person's habits. You don't know their do's, their don'ts, their likes, their dislikes. We all know that some people can't handle honesty. And
there's a way to be honest.
Yes, there's a way to be honest, but some people get upset and you don't even know, why they get upset or whatever. And dating should be fun.
Yeah.
And do fun things. It's bowling.
And you don't have to share your whole life with the person.
You don't have to tell them anything. Like,
you keep it very simple, polite, and as a good thing. You want to create a good memory.
Exactly.
So you want to do fun activities.
You want to do fun things.
You were saying boating. Take
bowling,
walks in the park, bowling.
Movies.
It doesn't have to be super expensive. Yeah, take it slow. I mean, you have to know, you may have certain expectations, but you have to be mindful of where each of you are at that point in your lives. So you have to learn to really hear someone when they're speaking and not think about, what am I going to say next? Really listen to the person. And think about the character of a person. Because those are the things that make a difference in the long run.
Yes. And if all else fails, you've gained a friend. And that's the bottom line. The foundation is the friendship.
That's right. And if you haven't created an enemy, you got another person you know.
Exactly.
And you never know who can introduce you to someone. Do we have more questions from anyone?
Yeah, what if you're dating someone and they don't say how they feel about you? They really quiet, they hold back, they don't express themselves well.
So the question was, what if you're dating someone who doesn't express themselves well? Like they don't share their feelings about how they feel about you. Well, oftentimes some people do it through action. They might not be comfortable with saying it because they're not sure if you're on the same page with them. And my thing is, in dating, in any kind of relationship, somebody has to take the leap of faith. Somebody has to be the one to step out and say, okay, this is how I feel about you, I love you, I like you, I don't like you, and I don't think this is going to work. Someone has to be the one to say it, because don't waste a person's time if you're not
the chemistry isn't quite there. I think it's best that we be friends.
Yes.
Or I'm willing to take this relationship a little further. I'm feeling this a certain way. How do you feel? And be ready to hear the real answer.
Exactly.
A lot of times we have in our minds predisposed ideas of what that person might say, and then if they don't say it, we're disappointed. And it's natural to be disappointed if you don't hear what you want to hear.
Yes.
However, take it in stride to say, I respect your honesty, thank you,
Yes.
And be mature about it, because we're all getting older, and that's part of dating. That's why we date.
Yes.
So we can get to know the other
people.
person and their likes and dislikes.
Yes, and
I'm sorry.
If someone does say something or their response is not on the same page as yours, that doesn't mean that's the end all. That doesn't mean that it's over. You build from there. You don't just say, okay, I'm not going to talk to her or talk to him anymore. You build from there and see where else it could go, because it may just go to the friend zone, and that might wind up being the best friend you've ever had in your life, because no one makes mistakes in meeting people.
Right.
And you can learn from everybody
others.
who comes into your your life.
People have different strengths. They know different people.
Exactly.
It's called connections too.
Networking.
You never know.
Yes,
That's
networking.
right. It's another way of networking.
So yes, you take your time with dating. We will be having more in-depth conversation about relationships. This is Relationship 101 because we're going to take it from the bottom and build all the way up. Because we're here to learn some things and,
and we want
find
people,
out.
Yes, we want people to hear the different answers to some of their questions.
Yes.
And we want people to find out other ways and other things they can do in dating and how to just work with people.
Yes. And how, if it doesn't work, how to move on.
Yeah. Move on without feeling like it was a bad experience.
Bad experience, exactly.
Yeah.
Learn from everything.
Yes.
Chalk it up to experience.
Ever growing, ever learning.
Exactly. That's a good point. Good closing.
Yeah. So
good
until
closing.
we meet again, there'll be more conversations with Cathy and Erin, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Stay tuned.